Sometimes I feel like running a business takes the magic out of the medicine. How do I cultivate the right business mindset? There's also a fear of failure that is holding me back. Yeah, so that's real quick the paradox there with the fear of failure is that we're afraid we fail, so then we don't try, and now we've by default failed. So, I mean, it's kind of obvious what the way out of that one is, right? So, in terms of this mindset about running a business, taking the magic out of the medicine, and cultivating the right business mindset, I've struggled with this myself in the past, and the thing that really set me free was realizing that they're the same thing. That running a business and delivering care can be the same thing. They don't have to be different because the common element there is you and the people you're working with. You have a healing relationship and you can have a business relationship with them. And I would offer that we can have a healing relationship that's kind of transactional and not very great, or we can have a really strong healing relationship, right? We can be kind of phoning it in and just barely doing the bare minimum just to get people like kind of in and out for their appointments, or we can really dive in and make the experience wonderful, right? Put a lot of thought and care and attention into the way we interface with people in a healing sense. We can do the same thing with the business, right? Which is really interesting because a lot of times if we have weak skills around running a business, then we'll kind of phone that in and we lean really hard into like the treatment side, which is great. But when you lean into the business side as well, people feel that and they feel that you're a leader. They feel that you're holding a space. Like, everybody talks about, oh, I'm going to hold space. Well, like this is your space. You're accountable for what goes on in your business. And so when you can do that with a straight spine, right, and not being weird about it or anything, but just being solid and centered, they feel that. And I would offer that that's actually quite therapeutic. When people come into your space and they have the feeling that they are in the presence of a pro, right? And not just a pro technician, but a pro at the whole deal, the pro entrepreneur, right? You're running the show. You have a big umbrella they can get underneath and they can relax. And that has to do with your systems as well. And I'll give you, here's another side of it, okay? Because once you get the business stuff kind of up and running, you'll see things a little bit differently. And when I go for something like a dentist or, whatever, some kind of service provider, personally, if I know my stuff, I know my systems. If I see that their business systems are really weak or unattended or the person's been defaulting, I don't do this intentionally, but I will start to lose respect for what they're building. And I'll start to think, well, they don't even kind of care enough to like run their business right. I don't know. I don't know if I can relax. And that's me. I'm a little neurotic, but you're going to have patients like that too. You're going to have some of the best patients you ever could want are the types of people who actually notice those types of things. So getting your business handled and being assertive about that, the same way you're being assertive about learning your treatment methods and your therapies, that just carries over. It's the same skill and it's the same character development. And they feel that. They feel like, oh, you're thorough. You're thorough in how you run your business. You're thorough in how you handle care. Just thoroughness everywhere. There's a lack of integrity actually when I'm in the treatment room and very, very like focused and good, and I'm doing all this stuff, and then business wise I'm just flailing around. Right? That's actually in wild inconsistency and a lack of integrity. But don't beat yourself up because we all go through that. I've gone through that myself as well, and there's phases to this. It's like you're always kind of growing and all that. So the difference is there are some people who are willing to embrace that, who are willing to embrace that that's a weak area. And there are other people who just want to tell themselves a story. Like, well, money's evil and capitalism's wrong, so I don't have to be good at business or something. And that's the kind of mythology you can tell yourself all day, but then you wind up out of business and helping no one because you never took care of the thing that needed tending to, right? It's the same skill. Like if you had a patient coming in and they have problems with their health, you're like, hey, pay attention to this because this will get you. And they just, oh, I don't know. It's the same thing. Pay attention to your business or it will get you, right? If you don't run your practice will run you. You may even wind up successful in getting what you wanted, but there's no systems there now that what you wanted burns you out. It rots you. So we got to be really careful about even getting lucky sometimes can be the worst thing that happens because we haven't built up a strong enough base to handle that, to be able to have an influx of new patients. Everybody wants, oh, more new patients, more new patients. Okay, well, here's 50. Can you handle that? It's like, no, too many, right? Okay, well, let's get some systems where you could, right? That kind of thing so that when you get what you think you wanted, it doesn't break you down. So these things go hand in hand. And I would really urge you, anybody listening to this, to start to see the healing benefits of a well-run business. because you're modeling leadership. You're modeling, I'm the kind of person who takes care of problems, whether they're health problems, business problems, whatever. I'm problem solving. I'm leading this, and that kind of stuff. It's weird stuff, but it's resonant. It transfers into your patients as well. People feel different just from being around you. The more you get your shit together, the more different and better they feel. And we have this thing of, we want to get good results for our patients, right? Obviously, we want to help them get better. And there's something else too beyond just the signs and symptoms, this soap note type improvements, right? There's also something personal that happens with people where they just feel better in your presence, right? And being able to take care of your business is one of those things that makes sure that that will happen. The other bit too, a lot of times practitioners are like, oh, I feel bad taking money and all that kind of thing. You got to get that out of your head. Our whole world works on money. That's like if I walked around thinking, well, I feel bad breathing air that, another animal could have had. There's plenty of air. There's plenty of money out there. We're not taking it from anybody. We pass it around. It's just like the earth, right? Like we don't own the earth. We're just we inherited it from our ancestors, and we're safeguarding it for our descendants, right? That's what we're doing. It's the borrowed earth kind of idea, right? It's the same thing with money. You get this influx of energy in the form of money. You're going to do things with it. You're going to do great things with it. You're going to use it to take care of your needs, your family's needs. You're going to help people. You're going to buy things that keep other people's businesses going so they can take care of their families. You're going to take that money, put it in the bank or whatever you're doing with it. The bank's going to loan it out to other local businesses who need a loan to get renovations done or something. Or some people want to buy their first home in your neighborhood. They're going to go to the bank and they're going to borrow money to do that, to get a home. And that's because you put money in the bank. This whole thing's a huge, huge web. And your patients... Any good patient knows that they're going to have to pay money for a good service, right? I mean, it's not like some big surprise. It's the ones that don't, that they have a problem with that. They're not going to be good patients anyway. They're trying to get away with all kinds of stuff. That's just one thing where they're like, oh, money from me? You want money for this? And they want to devalue what you're doing. Don't accommodate that. You've got to have strong filters and know what kinds of people you want to work with. For me, I want to work with the kinds of people who push their chips in and understand the value of what it is I do. That comes from, of course, a certain mindset of clientele that you're attracting, but also your own mindset and understand the value of what you do to the point where you can communicate it and articulate it, right? So don't be shy about charging because you're not taking anything from the person. It's a transaction. It's actually multiplicative, not subtractive, right? So if somebody pays you $5,000 to go through a program, or $10,000 or $20,000 or whatever you're doing, and that program then returns $100K, they didn't get minus $5K, minus $10K, minus $20K. No, they got a multiplicative return. They invested some and got more back. This is great. This is wonderful. So I would offer kind of some of the stuff that hangs us up is just because we haven't thought it through all the way, or we have some emotional attachment where we're telling ourselves stories to kind of stay stuck. That's the whole game with the ego. I mean, that's the devil on the shoulder. That's what it does. It's an expert at that. So we have to become pretty good at undoing some of that negative self-talk, and then going through things that seem basic, right? Simple things like learning market research, learning how to price your offers in a way, learning how to find out what it actually costs people to stay where they are in terms of their illness. If somebody's, I had one case, especially, I share this one a lot because it's profound to me. She really got her life back and she was wonderful to work with. But she was spending something like $900 a month on supplements, right? So if she were to stay where she was at, she'd be spending, $7,200 a year on supplements that weren't working. She was still super sick and felt like she was dying essentially, So it's like, if I can get somebody off of that, 5 years out, she was spending another 35 grand on supplements, and if I'm charging somewhere in the neighborhood of 5-10K for a program, long term, that's a huge win. Plus, you start to consider that there's somebody who can't work, can't run her family business, right? And now you get her life back, and she's running a family business again. She's making a load of money, way more than she invested. So you got to start looking at it in terms of the transaction going on, not as this kind of like, I'm taking this kind of thing and feel bad about it, right? You're not taking anything from anybody. You should be providing something far greater than what you're charging. And I'm willing to bet you are. You just haven't realized it yet. And once you do, this whole thing will change. Hope that helps. Get to work.